Welcome to the Hidden Oaks Overdose Football Fix with your lovely hostesses, Garlic Johnson.
We're going to need to take a break here while I change my pants.
And Josh Mitchell.
Sitting here undefeated in everything I do, except fantasy football. No, I'm not allowed to handle crayons.
Not after last time.
Not after last time.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Garlic and Josh.
We are those, Garlic and Josh. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hidden Oaks Overdose Football Fix podcast. I am one of your lovely hostess, the Garlic Johnson. We are joined, as always, by our other lovely hostess, the Joshua Mitchell. Josh, say hi to the folks out there in the future.
Hi, future folk.
This is podcast number 221 here on August 25th, 2026. Josh, I can't remember if you have any, I don't remember exactly where your office is. I don't remember if you have a window or not, but this is going to be as much daylight as there is outside right now. In just a couple weeks, we'll be doing this podcast at this exact same time, and it'll be dark outside. So appreciate that sunshine and vitamin D while you can, folks.
Yeah, I have a cubicle in the smack dab center of a big old room. Maybe not smack dab center, but it's 2 rows in. So I can look out the window every once in a while, but if I do that, the county decides to, kind of I don't know what they do. They hold up the shackles and just kind of jiggle them a little bit to make sure that I understand who the real boss is.
Sure, of course. You know your role.
Because government. Mm-hmm.
Stay in your lane, jabroni.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it means football season's here. I've also got fall baseball, which 7 p.m. Wednesday night games also means that there's going to be some lights. I also learned that this fall baseball, it's not 35 plus, it's all ages. So can't wait to go out there and watch some 18-year-old punk that just got his high school diploma, put his grill in, and just huck lasers past me.
Oh, dude, that's kind of electric, honestly.
Yeah, I guess I will say, fun fact, because I went to the game on Sunday because I was winning. We were in the playoffs, and I was like, I'm going to test it out and see if I can play, because I've been injecting Wolverine blood into my thigh every night.
As you should.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, this is great, because I did some stretches, did some sprints, did some lunges. I was like, this feels great. I could do this. Took some infield, outfield, and I play left field, so I was out in outfield. Guy hits one to left center gap, and I'm sitting there, I'm running. I'm like, I'm going to have to turn left a little bit or veer left. Tried to veer left. My leg was just like, you know what? I don't think I'm quite ready for this. I just kept running straight. It just could not even get my body to turn left. I was like, I'm going to sit this game out, I think.
You've gone full Zoolander, dude. You can't turn left.
Yep, but hey, fall ball's coming. I guess, so as I was sitting on the bench talking to some of the guys, they're saying that last year or 2 years ago, they played against minor league baseball teams or minor league baseball players because they were filling in on a team. And so that sounds fun.
Ooh.
And yeah. But yeah, I'm excited. Gar, how are you? It's only been a couple days, but
yeah, I mean, who doesn't love the reminder there's always someone better? Isn't that fun? Yeah, no, it's only been 3 days since we last podcasted, so of course not too much has happened. I can't think of anything noteworthy. Played D&D last night. Sunday I hung out. Oh, we did the draft lottery on Sunday, so I got to see Brad's beautiful face. That's always nice. But yeah, no, nothing too eventful over the past couple days. I will say something that's been heavy on my heart, and I was gonna text her about it. Well, I was gonna text her about it maybe later, because while I was waiting, again, not impatiently waiting, not trying to be rude, but just in the downtime while I was at my computer before Josh got here, I was kind of looking up Nikita. So for anyone who doesn't know, Nikita's a perennial playoff team in the Hood League, in the Hood Fantasy League. But that also means then, because she's always one of the better teams, that in the lottery we do, she's going to have one of the fewest amounts of balls in the bag. So I was just kind of looking up her average order drawn position versus how many balls she has in the bag, and it's not even close. So so if I just took every order she's drawn, if she's ordered 11th and then 12th and then 11th, and I did that for for 10 of us in the league that have been here consistently, Nikita is by far the most unlucky, at least in terms of order drawn. she like her sum adding up all her possessions from 2020 to 2026 is 76, and then in second place is Jeremy with 60. So Nikita just gets very unlucky with the draw. And then I was like, okay, well, let's be fair here. We know Nikita's always very good, so let's also compare the ball count here, because there's always 100 balls in the bag. And actually, Nikita had the second fewest balls in the bag. Somehow I had the fewest. I had no idea. I've also been drawn first twice, so I've been very lucky in that department. But from 2020 to 2026, so that's 7 years total, counting this year. I've only had 27 balls out of the 700 there's been. She's only had 35. And then in third place is Derek with 50. So she's had one of the fewest ball counts, but also super unlucky in the order drawn. So I'm genuinely considering some sort of like Nikita rule, I want to call it, or something, where I don't want Nikita to just be perennially shafted in the draft lottery or something, just because she's a good performer every year. Because I feel bad, because like she's always she's always getting drawn one of the last teams. The best she's ever been drawn is 8th. She's almost always in double digits. She's been 11th twice, 12th twice, 13th once. So I don't know. So all that's to say, Nikita.
Well, I mean, just tell her to play worse.
Yeah, you know what? Just tank for a year and then go crazy. But no, so I don't know. But Nikita's a trooper. I don't think she'd quit over something like that. But at the same time, like, I don't think Nikita's ever drafted like the top half of a draft, which some years makes more of a difference than others for sure. But it's just like, poor Nikita. This is her third year drafting 10th in a row. So I don't know. I'll see if I can do something about that for her next year, because I don't know. Maybe we'll just do away with the lottery for at least 1 year and do a break, and maybe Nikita can get lucky and the other way we determine it. But all that's to say, Nikita, if you still listen, I apologize that that luck has been your way, and I'll see if I can do something about it next year in a couple years or something. So, anyways, Josh, on Saturday we did the 272 East and West. Today we are here to talk about the 272 North and South. First, just to check
Civil
back in
War
the East.
style, got it.
Exactly. First, after we did the pod on Saturday, is there anything you felt like, I'm not sure about their take? Anything you want to revise from your first half of the 272, or as soon as we stopped the pod, you haven't thought about a single football record until this second?
I mean, I've thought about football records, haven't thought about the podcast though, so I don't even know what I said.
You just gotta wipe it. Just wipe it right after.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I haven't listened to a single episode of our podcast either, and we've had 9 seasons, so yeah. It's one of those things where I'm in it when the headset's on. When the headset comes off, I don't care. But I will say there is a bit of a correction, because as I was going through my playoff scenario,
yep,
I noticed in week 17, I had the Chargers losing to the Chiefs and the Chiefs losing to the Chargers.
Perfect.
Which technically can't happen. So I did make that adjustment.
That's true.
Which also means that I had another game that was messed up. And I don't remember which one it was at the time. I think it was Cincinnati's week 17 game. And so I might have fixed that one. So there may have been some mathematical errors. And sure. I hope I corrected them.
I'm sure all of our really diehard 2 to 5 listeners are really gonna go back and figure out the math for you on that one.
I think I'm just gonna blast our link into Dotball just to get it out there, and then see what happens.
That's, of all the strategies, that's certainly one of them. All right, I'm pretty sure I made you go first last time, Josh, so I'll go first this time, just so, I don't know, to change up the order a little bit. But we're doing the 272 NFC North, AFC South, and NFC South in alphabetical from all those divisions. So that starts with the Atlanta Falcons. I have them going 6-11 this year. They got a new coach in town, 2-time coach of the year, former Viking quarterback coach, former Viking offensive coordinator. Kevin Stefanski is now in Atlanta. I think Penix is still supposed to be their starter. They've also brought Tua into town. Pretty much my only note for this team was, is Bijan enough? Of course, Bijan's a stud. Bijan's a game wrecker. Everyone loves him from a fantasy perspective. From a real football perspective, Atlanta's defense was always kind of sneaky because they had Raheem Morris, former defensive coordinator, head coach. Now they're getting an offensive-minded head coach, so the defense is going to get worse. I'm not sure the offense is going to get much better. So I have this team going 6-11. Bijan will carry them to a handful of those wins perfectly by himself. But yeah, not a lot of faith in the swag and surf for me this year. What about you, Josh?
Yeah, I had them doing worse than you. Experts had them at 4.5, and for those of you that need a refresher, the experts I am referencing are DraftKings or the sports book, and so they had 4.5 as their over/under. Last year, their football performance index or their football power index, I already forgot the acronym. Last year it was negative 3.6, meaning they would lose on a neutral field by 3.6 points on average. And so that was ranked 24. They're still ranked 24, but it's negative 1.5 this year. Last year they got 8 wins. I have them going 3-14.
Sheesh.
I only see 3 wins on their schedule. I think that Bijan is going to be the reason for all 3 of them, but they've literally got Tua, who played himself out of a starting position essentially because of how bad he's been in practice and preseason, or Michael Penix, who's coming off of a knee injury and who just started 11 on 11s. Their best quarterback in preseason is their 4th round quarter, or their 4th on the depth chart quarterback, who is a Minnesota State Moorhead D2
Late.
runner-up.
That kid's a
Heisman.
stud. That kid's a stud.
Yeah, and so if he were the starter week 1, I may go back and I may have to say they win 6 games. But with Tua or Penix, it's going to be 3.
Gotcha.
I have them as my one-ish word. My feeling, my gut feeling on that team is that they're Cleveland 2. They're the NFC Cleveland.
They even got the other
the
coach.
National
Got the
Football
right coach.
Cleveland. Yep. Kevin Stefanski, he, for somebody who has done so little with his coaching ability, he apparently just must know everybody in an interview room, make him feel real special, because has he gotten double-digit wins as a coach?
I mean, I definitely know he's a bit of a smooth talker, not in a sleazy way, but he has charisma, and I think he's a handsome fella. I think that definitely helps him. But yeah, I could not tell you his life record off the top of my head.
I guess they did make the playoffs once in Cleveland, so probably.
There you go.
Moving on to the AFC North, we've got the Baltimore Ravens. Last year they had a power index of 3.3, which was good enough for 8th, but they only had 8 wins. So despite, did they only have 8 wins? Wow, that's interesting.
John Harbaugh got fired.
That's true. Despite their high power index, they had the same amount of wins as the team that had negative 3 to their positive 3. They are projected to do a little bit better with that. And Vegas has them at 10.5 wins. I had them at 12. They're just very inconsistent, which means that they had a down year last year. I think they're going to have a good year this year. Do I think that they'll make anything of it? No. They'll get trounced in the first round of the playoffs. We'll have to watch Lamar Jackson pout a little bit in an interview, say something that nobody understands because he talks like he has a mouthful of marbles, and then go from there.
Nice.
I think I have them. Yeah, I said 12-5 already. I have so many numbers on my screen.
There's a lot of numbers.
What do they mean, Mason?
Mason, what do they mean? By the way, in case one person out there really cares, I had the Atlanta Falcons power rank 27. Moving on to the Baltimore Ravens, as Josh was talking about, I have them power rank 9. I have them with just 1 less win than you. I have them going 11-6. New head coach in town, defensive coordinator from the Chargers is now Jesse Minter, is now their head coach. They have a rookie offensive coordinator. I couldn't remember his name or where he came from. Didn't care enough to write it down. I just kind of wrote down enough time to sync with talent. Obviously going to, I'm sure, new offensive and defensive schemes. Certainly no one would say this team doesn't have a lot of talent on paper, especially Lamar Jackson, kind of leading the ship, and Derrick Henry somehow beating father. Maybe I don't know if he made a deal with the devil or if he's kidnapped Father Time, if he's found the fountain of youth, if he got the Holy Grail with Indianapolis Jones. I'm not sure, but he has certainly done something. Because Derrick Henry, I have no reason to believe he's going to fall off dramatically just yet. So I don't see them as a Super Bowl team. I see them as a playoff team. if this team really gets in sync and that defense, really steps up while the offense kind of stays steady, I could certainly see them being maybe in the conference championship. But I just, it's hard for me to believe that they have enough time to get everything just right with a rookie head coach and a rookie OC. So I'm going 11-6 with no bowl in their future. Moving on to the Carolina Panthers. I have them going 9-8 this year. They've been under the regime they've had for a couple years now, and I think this team started making the next step. I could see them sneaking into the playoffs. I believe I have them winning their division because the NFC South is not very good. Of course, I'm not thinking Bryce Young and company is a Super Bowl team, but if Jonathan Brooks ends up being the stud they want him to be, kind of a step up from Rico Dowdle, or is it Rico Dowdle and or Chuba Hubbard? I can't remember which running backs are where these days, but and then Bryce Young continues to take a step forward with Jalen Coker and Ted McMillan. This team, within 1 or 2 years, I could see them, within their own divisional or conference championship. So I think the Panthers are doing the right things. I just don't think this year is their year with a lot better teams out there. Josh, how do you feel about the keep pounding Panthers?
Yeah, I have them going 6-11, so a little bit worse than last year. Not that they didn't improve, but I do think that last year they won a lot of games that they weren't necessarily supposed to. They were close games. They're not a bad football team, but I do think that tougher schedule, I don't see the ball bouncing their way. Similar to how the Vikings went, won 14 games where they had 11 within one possession, and the next year they imploded. Not that they're going to implode this year. They're just going to regress a little bit. I do think they're on the up and up. Vegas has them at 6.5 wins as well. I had just slightly under that. My one word feeling was just like they didn't do enough to inspire me on the defensive side of the ball. Offense, they have Tet and Jalen Coker and Bryce Young. But then Jonathan Brooks needs to stay healthy. Rico Dowdle kind of fell off a little bit near the end of last year. But we'll just have to see. I do think that as far as divisions go, they are kind of on the upswing in that one, though. So who knows? 6-11 might win them that division.
Oh, God.
Moving on to everybody's favorite team to hate. We've got the Chicago Bears. Last year they won 11 games. Vegas DraftKings has them at 9.5 this year, and I have them at 11 games, repeating last year because you know what? It just makes sense that they'd hurt me in that way. They actually had a 0.6 football power index, ranked 14. They're projected to do a little bit better this year with 1.2. The reason theirs is so low, kind of close to that zero, is because their quarterback efficiency was like negative. Caleb was not good. He had fourth quarters. If we looked at just his first through third quarter, we're looking at a J.J. McCarthy with a blindfold on. If we're looking at his fourth quarter, we're looking at that J.J. McCarthy on air. So, and, with the entire offense on the field, not just 11 guys. But I have Caleb as just a slightly better J.J. McCarthy. And yes, I'm speaking hate into existence because it worked with J.J. Look at how the world turned on him because of our podcast and me spewing every week. Yep. He's terrible.
It was you single-handedly.
Even Al has turned on him. I think he's just scrubbed the internet of all of his face paint and, JJ lookalike from week 1 last year.
I don't know if Al's fully turned yet, but he's close.
But, he's probably out there trying to have a catch with JJ and got sick of it throwing over his head up all the time. But yeah, so I have the Bears winning 11 games just because it would make me sad.
Just because it would make him sad. That means you have the Bears winning the division, so that's something. I got the Bears going 13-4, so I'm a little bit hotter than you even. I have them at power ranked as my 6th team. I think a consistent Caleb is a catastrophe for the NFL, so I'm having faith in Caleb taking a step forward. They get a lot of consistency there. Ben Johnson obviously is, everyone talks about what a guru he is or can be, and we've seen plenty of creativeness. So I'm just having faith in them only continuing to get better and Caleb getting better. Because we've seen plenty of magic out of him. So now if he can only do, like you said, if he can play the first 57 minutes well, imagine what kind of team they could be, So they lost DJ Moore, but I think they still have a good stable of offensive talent no matter what. So yeah, 13-4, have them winning the North. Definitely not quite a Super Bowl team, but I would not be shocked to see them in the conference championship. Moving on to the Cincinnati Bengals, I have them going 12-5. I let the record show. No one's gonna care. Maybe half the people won't believe me. But before it was kind of coming out, I wrote down, because I did this a couple weeks ago. I think this is make or break for Joe in Cincinnati. I think if they don't do much this year, Joe's gonna be at. But everyone knows that healthy Bengals are always scary. Despite the Bengals not doing enough to support Joe on either the offensive line or sometimes just ignoring the defensive side of the ball. My record obviously is assuming that Joe stays healthy, and I think this team, we've seen them in the conference championship. Or they lose the Super Bowl even. I even forget, but this team is scary if they're firing on all cylinders, and I think the Bengals will be a force this year because they have to be, otherwise they're going to lose their main man, Joe. What do you think about the Bengals, Josh?
I think that I have them at 13-4. I think I have them as the 1 or the 2 seed in the AFC. I can't remember off the top of my head. We'll find out later. Spoiler alert. They only had won 6 games last year, but they have Joe Burrow. So if they can protect him, he throws the ball up in the air. T. Higgins or Jamar Chase are going to come down with it most likely. And
Chase
so
Brown,
I think
sneaky good.
Yeah, Chase Brown is sneaky good. So their offense is going to score points, but if their defense is slightly improved, they should win double the games they did last year. I have them 13-4. I think I said that. Just no excuses. I agree with you that if they don't make it work this time, he may force himself out. It might be, one of those situations where he is, the belle of the ball in the off season, ends up getting traded somewhere, or he's not going to get just let go, but he's going to end up getting traded somewhere that needs a quarterback, like Pittsburgh
or Minnesota, perhaps.
Yeah, that would be excellent, because it would just be a perfect time for the NFL to go on strike.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, Vegas had them at 9.5. So, but you and I agree that they're likely going to overdo that or win that. I don't know. It's Tuesday night. I don't care anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Next on is their biggest division rival, probably the one that's gunning for their throne the most, Cleveland. And if anybody knows me, that it was sarcasm. Cleveland is a dumpster fire of a team and a dumpster fire of a town with a dumpster fire of an owner. They are projected 6.5 wins, which is 7 too many. I have them going 4-13. Last year, they were the worst football power index with almost a -10. This year, they're projected to be -5.5, so second worst. But they're just a lazy tank. That's all they are. They're putting Deshaun Watson in, hoping that defense just absolutely, maybe puts on some brass knuckles, longest yard style, and then just takes him out so that they can use that poison pill. And then they can put in Shadur and, lose the rest of the games. Their defense traded Myles Garrett, and it's just a lazy tank.
Yeah, I got the Browns going 3-14. As we talked about earlier, Kevin Stefanski is out. Todd Monken is in. Who is Todd Monken? Does anyone care? Not really. They traded away their best player, like you just talked about. Myles Garrett is out, and they are perennial elite. All right, never mind. I could say that word earlier, and I've lost the ability. They're the Browns. They're always going to be the Browns. Something very dramatically has to change for the Browns to not be the Browns. I have them believe it or not, I have them power ranked 28th, so that means I have 4 teams worse than them. But yeah, the Browns are very bad. They're not going to win many games at all. They might. Maybe unless they're playing again. The only way they're going to win games is if they're playing a team that's tanking harder. So you're saying they're a lazy tank, so they're going to lose to the people who are aggressively tanking. Moving on to Detroit City. I have Detroit going 13-4. I think they're a great team. They got a new offensive coordinator. I didn't write down his name, but I think it's still kind of the same lines in a lot of ways. Their schedule's going to be easier because they had a down year. The window's been closed. So, despite them going 13-4, I think they get bounced in round 1 or round 2. Kind of, the way the Lions have been going under MCDC. I love this team. I would love to see Dan Campbell get a ring. I would love to see Jared Goff get a ring. It's just, I think it's a good team full of mostly good people. And unfortunately, I think it might already be over for them. So playoff team for sure. Bunch of studs. You're going to see some high-flying offense, but no bowl for the Lions despite their regular season success. Josh, how do you feel about the Kitties this year?
Meow. I have them going 10-7, so one more win than last year, under what Vegas has of their 10.5, less than what you have. I think that last year, they only won 9 games. I think last year was kind of kind of where they're at. They don't have the offense or the defensive mind of their former coordinators. Dan Campbell is willing them to that 9 wins. I think that they'll be able to get 10. They have they have a talented team, but I do think that they are going to. They aren't going to win the division, and if they make the playoffs, it'd be a one and done. As far as my notes on the team, they're just bald, because if you look at their coaching staff, it's bald.
That's your takeaway from the team, huh? Just a bunch of baldies.
Yep. Moving on to the team that everybody loves, and this time I mean it, because they're the greatest franchise in the history of the NFL. Likely, if Santa were to have a favorite team, it would be this one. We all know Jesus loves them the most. It is the Green Bay Packers. I have them going 10-7, so just the same as the Lions. So don't say it's homerism. They won 9 games last year. They are projected to be about similar range as they were last year with the Football Power Index. But as far as my one word, and Vegas has them at 10.5 too, so I didn't even say the over on that. As far as my one word, I had 2 one words. One was wild card, because that's the only way they're making the playoffs, is because we added that 7th seed. And then smack. I don't know if you know this, Gar, but the entire city of Green Bay is addicted to smack right now. And I think that it's making its way to Big Lake, Minnesota, because I've been high on smack for the last 2 weeks straight.
Is smack a specific thing? Is the smack a slang for a drug I'm not familiar with? Can you describe snack to me?
Smack. Trey Smack. The kicker.
Oh, the kicker.
For the Green Bay Packers.
Are you currently on my deflate these balls team? How much you going to trade me for?
Well, I do have Bijan. So would you accept Bijan and some other piece for him?
Yeah, it would depend on what that second piece is, but I'd think about it.
Okay. I don't have any first, so maybe if I can scrounge up a couple of them from somebody for some other player. Yeah.
But okay.
Right now.
10-7, I think is very respectable. You didn't go too hard on the homerism there. I went the other way, and I'm sure I'm going to get some flack for you. You're more than welcome to rebut me after I've finished. But I have Green Bay going 7-10 this year. I have them doing the same as the Vikings, so I don't want to hear about that. But in my opinion, we've been seeing this LaFleur and Jordan Love thing for a little bit now, I think. And, with the troubles with Josh Jacobs, who knows? I think current Green Bay is peak mediocre. They were, they at least with Aaron Rodgers, they kind of always had a chance, any given whatever. All those MVPs didn't result in bowls, but Aaron Rodgers could definitely carry a team to the Super Bowl. I don't think Jordan Love can do that. I don't think Mike LaFleur could do that. Or Matt LaFleur, sorry, excuse me. I think they're a solid squad. So that 7 wins is a respectful 7 wins. I would not be surprised if they got your 10 wins, your 10-7. Definitely no Super Bowl in sight for this team, in my opinion. And I think that the reason I gave them 7-10 is because I think the cracks are going to start to show. I don't know if Matt's going to start losing the locker room, or if Jacob's absence is going to have a much bigger effect, or if Jay Love just gets a lot of pressure or something. Micah Parsons is going to be missing for a bit. I don't know. I wasn't trying to be overly disrespectful to the Packers. Again, I gave the Packers and the Vikings the same record, so it's not like that. I have them power ranked 21. I just think Matt LaFleur is going to be gone sooner than later, so I would love to, it's always fun when the Vikings and the Packers have a really strong rivalry. I think right now both teams are kind of meh, so that's how I feel, Josh. Why am I wrong?
Way too many reasons to list, Gar. In fact, it's just so disgusting. I don't know if I can even have the words for it. I think that first off, you said Jacobs missing time. If he misses time, it's likely going to be next year, because I don't think they're doing anything right now with it.
Okay. That's respectful.
We've got Tucker Kraft coming back, who is
Stud.
the tight end top. Yeah, he's the top 2 not 2 tight end in the NFL. And yeah, that phrase is making a comeback for Green Bay rosters. And then Micah Parsons, he may miss a few games. but they're just making it safe. Yeah, it's going to be similar to like last year. He's going to be fully healthy with the Dallas Cowboys. But Green Bay has always been known to slow play the injury recovery. So the fact that, he's coming back before midseason is great. Is it going to stink? Yeah. We may, in my prediction of 10-7, we may lose the first 7 games of the season and then win out.
Oh, shit.
But
okay.
But it's one of those things where there's a 7th seed in the NFL and the NFC, there is a Green Bay Packers playoff. So that's all it is.
All right. Well, we shall wait and see. Moving on to the other conference in the other cardinal direction in the AFC South, we have the Houston Texans. I have them going 11-6, mainly because of the defense. Although CJ Stroud wasn't that bad last year, but I think CJ Stroud, I'm going to borrow some words from the kids since I'm 32 and shouldn't be saying these things, but I think CJ Stroud has negative aura. I don't know, I've never liked, okay, this is very petty of me, but I've never liked the look of CJ Stroud. I'm sure I've commented many times in Discord. I'm on how like his face is just doofy. I don't know if he has like a weak chin or a weak neck, or just the proportions of his neck chin area are really goofy looking, and I don't like it. And I think that ultimately, maybe it's a testosterone thing, I'm not sure. Also, there were some videos going around a couple weeks ago of like CJ Stroud walking into training camp or walking into a preseason game or something, and that man looked like he was waddling. He looked like he was wearing a diaper. He just looked like a goofy ho-hum guy, and that's maybe not who you want as your starting quarterback. And everyone saw his 5 interceptions last year, whatever that was. That shit was crazy. So in the playoffs, so I think this defense is going to be really good. I really like. I always fuck up Raheem Morris and D'Amico Ryans, but I'm pretty sure this is D'Amico Ryans. I'm 80% sure it's D'Amico there. And I think this team will be good. They've lost Jaden Higgins, so that's not so good. But 11-6, no Super Bowl. I have them power rank 10 though. Josh, how do you feel about Houston?
Yeah. Did you say Vegas had them at 9.5?
I did not,
because they do. Okay. Last year they won 12 games. I have them going 12-5 again this year. I think the defense regresses a little bit, but I think that offense plays a little bit better. They had the question marks of Joe Mixon last year, I think, all the time, which kind of didn't allow for them to do a whole lot. And they bring in David Montgomery, who has proven that he can be a one in an offense. And then they have Woody Marks, and it sounds like they're getting 50-50 split. They still have Nico. They've got Dalton Schultz. So I do think that even with CJ's negative aura,
they just got booty. They traded for booty. Tank Dell's allegedly healthy for now.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like I think that CJ improves even if that defense regresses. So I think that they can repeat that 12-5 playoff performance, and so I think that I believe that would give them that division as well. Speaking of that division, moving on to another team in that division, we've got the Indianapolis Colts. Last year they won 8 games. Vegas has them at 8.5 this year. I have them at 9. So I have them going 9-8. I think that if Jonathan Taylor can play as well as he did, with Daniel Jones last year, and Daniel Jones comes back healthy, doesn't have a broken leg and then a torn Achilles, then I think that they should do okay. I don't see them as a big time contender or even a playoff team for that matter, just because I don't know where their wide receivers are. Josh Downs and
Keenan Allen.
Okay. Wide receivers under 40. Where are they?
Keenan Allen thinks he's under 40.
His hairline thinks he's 50.
Yeah.
But Alec Pierce hasn't done anything. He had that offseason surgery after signing his major deal, probably from carrying the bags of cash to the bank.
That was it.
But I just don't trust that wide receiver room. And then Tyler Warren pulled his groin. So, I have them going 9-8.
Yeah, the injury bug does seem to be hitting Indianapolis a little bit too hard. I'm high on this team. I like Danny. I like Daniel Jones. Without Pittman there, it does sting. Like, Pittman was a staple for so long. I still have them going 10-7. I think they're As long as Daniel Jones stays healthy, I think he's proven he can kind of he can elevate a couple guys. He's not an all-pro quarterback. He's not going to elevate people the way that Hall of Famers will. But I think Daniel Jones could elevate a couple of the guys on their roster that none of us can name right now. I think Tyler Warren will get healthy, and Tyler Warren will be a stud. But yeah, of course, I don't think this is going to be a playoff team. Or a Super Bowl team, excuse me. I have them power ranked 15, so I wouldn't be surprised if they snuck in as a wild card team. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost a couple more games than I anticipated and completely missed the playoffs. Either way, I just want to see Daniel Jones be healthy, because what we saw of him last year was very exciting, and everyone wants to see that kind of, like, I don't want to say redemption story, because he had some good, I don't know about good years, but definitely a lot of highlights out of New York, and so it would be cool to see him be another one of those journeyman success elsewhere stories. Moving on to one of their other division rivals, this is our third in a row AFC South team, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm a big fan of Liam Cohen. I think this is going to be a playoff team. They definitely beat everyone's expectations last year. Didn't do so hot in the playoffs. I don't think the Super Bowl team, but I have them ranked number 4 in my power ranking. I'm very high on the Jaguars this year, probably higher than most people. And yeah, I don't know. I don't have much else to say than I love Jacksonville this year. 13-4 is a very good record. I have them as a top 4 team. Josh, what do you think about the Jags?
Yeah, last year they won 13 games. Vegas has them at 9.5. I have them at 8. I have 8 and 9. I think that Trevor Lawrence regresses slightly. He won one game last year because he fell over, wasn't touched, then managed to stand up and scramble. So it's like the ball bounced their way quite a bit. I do think that because they had 13 wins last year, they're going to have a tougher schedule because of the opponents they play. And so 8 and 9 is where I have them at. They just don't have any juice. They lost Achane, or whatever they want to call their running back.
Travis Achane Jr., yes.
Yeah. They lost him. They have Bashal Tootin, who's just tooting all over the place. I don't know if who's their Washington, the wide receiver one
Parker
now?
Washington, yeah.
A lot of Parker hype. Washington, Brian Thomas Jr. Is supposed to be back. Jacoby Myers, who was the wide receiver 1 in Las Vegas and still probably put up worse numbers than wide receiver 2s elsewhere.
For sure.
But it's one of those things where I just don't have any faith in him, I guess. Not that, and it's like just a little bit of a regress. It was a nice little feel-good story last year, but I think that Trevor Lawrence is gonna regress a little bit. Moving on to Minnesota. We've got the Minnesota Vikings. Last year they won 9 games.
Woo,
9.
9, baby. 9. Herman Cain, 9, baby.
They're projected 8.5 wins this year, so we could just round up and say 9. Oh, you said you weren't using the sounders.
I know, but then I felt, come on.
I have them going 19-0.
Yeah, you do.
Kidding. I have them going 8 and 9. Last year, they were one of the worst football power index teams with a negative 6.7, 27th ranked. This year, they're projected to be 19th with a negative 0.4. Their only saving grace really is that defense being as powerful as it is, and Brian Flores being as ballsy as he is with his calls. I don't know if the injury bug has caught anybody on that team yet, but they don't have a lot of the guys that they had last year, I believe, right? You guys let some go?
Yeah, we traded away Grenard, so Dallas Turner has to step up. Phillips was a trade away last year. I believe someone else walked. It's definitely a different looking defense, but yeah, you assume we still got Ginkle, we still got Dallas Turner, we still got obviously Harrison Smith does not, I'm sure it's very clear he's not coming out of retirement. So, but yeah, no, there's definitely some big names that left for sure, without question.
Yeah, and on offense, it's really just you had the quarterback battle of 9 versus 5'9", and now it's 5'9's ship to run. So get him a booster seat so he can command the offense, and go from there. I can't wait for you to by week 4 say, why does this guy run around in the backfield with a diaper on? Because that's what it looks like when Kyler Murray scrambles. I watched a lot of hospital balls get thrown in preseason. on the highlights that get posted on Reddit, and it's just like in the comments even. So I don't even know if Vikings fans are sold on him yet. 8-9, but as we all know, I'm a Packers fan living in Minnesota, so that means that the Vikings are probably going to go 16-2 or 16-1 and make it to the playoffs, be Super Bowl favorites, and I'm going to have to listen to it for weeks on end.
You already play the victim 24/7 the way it is. So yeah, could you imagine if we were actually successful again? Josh's life would be terrible.
I just hope. And then the alternate scenario is that the Vikings go 13-4, make the playoffs, win a game, lose, and then they'll let Kyler walk, and Kyler goes and wins the Super Bowl in like Seattle or something.
Could be. We'll see. Believe it or not, obviously, no secret, Josh is a Packers homer. I'm the Vikings guy. And I am lower on the Vikings this year than Josh is. He gave them 8-9. I gave the Vikings 7-10. And I know I'm going to hear about it from Walters. I know I'm going to hear about it from Alan. Any other Vikings fans that happen to listen to this. Maybe even Brian will shoot me a hate text if he listens to this. But yeah, I have the Vikings going 7-10, and that's mainly because I just don't know. We've seen how bad JJ is. Maybe Kyler does catch on, and everyone talks about how complex our system is. You think if KOC was a really good coach, he could try and, figure out a way for Kyler Murray to catch on a little bit better. Anyways, I think KOC's seat is hot. We already saw them ship Kwesi away. I believe he got a job back with the 49ers, but Nolan Teasley is in, and you almost never hear about him because KOC is kind of the face of the franchise right now. I think we're going to be mad this year. The defense should hopefully be pretty good, but as you noted, we lost a couple pieces. You would hope that Justin Jefferson has a much better season. So if nothing else, hopefully Kyler Murray can feed JJ the ball and we're in some exciting games. But yeah, I don't know. Everything about me, I am done giving KOC the benefit of the doubt. I am done having hope. They can prove it to me on the field. I'm not saying KOC isn't capable of way better than 7-10. Of course he is. We've seen it multiple times. He won 9 games last year with Carson Wentz and Brosmer and JJ McCarthy. So clearly the coaches on this team are capable, but I'm done giving the benefit of the doubt. I think KOC's seat is hot. I think if they have a mediocre season this year, KOC is gone. And that's what I believe. So prove me wrong, Vikings. But as of right now, I got no faith. Oh, sorry. Were you going to say something? It sounded like you were saying.
Yeah, I said, or not. You don't have to prove them wrong.
Right.
I just said for my one-ish word that I didn't say, I said QB whisperer with the alternate caps and lowercase because mocking,
Right.
That's just the nick. It's, yes, it was a feel-good. It was a great story when he was doing it with Josh Dobbs and they won games. But then it's like, you had an entire season with JJ and what are you whispering to him now? Go die in a ditch?
We're about to find out whether KOC is still the QB whisperer and he's about to have a lot of success with Kyler, which I think is a possibility. Again, I'm putting the Vikings at their very floor. I don't think we're going to do much worse than 7-10. But yeah, so we're going to find out if JJ McCarthy himself is just the most uncoachable doofus QB there's ever been, and KOC is a really good coach, and he has success with Murray, or we're going to find out maybe KOC isn't the guy we wanted him to be, and the quarterbacks you were working with actually we got some lucky games that no one could scout us for because we were playing fucking Josh Dobbs and whatever else.
Before anybody chimes in and says, but what about Sam Darnold? Sam Darnold learned how to play quarterback in San Fran.
Okay, all right. We can give a little credit to Sam himself, and we can give a little credit to KOC. We don't have to go too crazy, but obviously he went to go win a Super Bowl with the other team, so it's not just KOC. I had them power ranks 22. Moving on. I'm done hating on the Vikings because I can already hear Al and Walters bitching me down. Moving on to Nolans and the Shucks, the New Orleans Shucks. I have them going 7-10. We'll see. Yeah, I think Kellen Moore, obviously, we haven't heard much about him. Because obviously he was the very exciting hotshot play caller for the Cowboys. And then he moved on to be the hotshot play caller for Philly for 1 year. And then he went on to be the almost never talked about head coach of the Saints because the Saints had a really bad roster and the Saints are always in cap hell. And I don't know how they do it down there, but Tyler Shuck is somehow still a starting quarterback. And, assuming Kellen Moore can do exciting things with Travis Etienne Jr. and with Chris Olave. And I I couldn't name a single defensive player they have, but yeah, I think 7 wins should be good enough for them. Maybe they'll, I don't know. I think the worst thing Kellen Moore can do right now is to kind of be this middle of the road team and never get good draft picks, and then he'll get fired, and then. But I think Kellen Moore has plenty of talent, so my 7 wins is mainly on Kellen Moore being creative offensively. That's it. Josh, how do you feel about the New Orleans Shucks?
See, I'm higher on Shuck than you are, apparently, even though he's an old man when it comes to,
You say that, but you gave them less wins than I did.
Shut up, Gar. Let me get there. Vegas had them at 7.5. I have them at 6-11. They won 6 games last year. I do believe that wasn't Derek Carr the starter for the first half of the season or part of the season.
Great question. No idea.
Was that last year or the year before? I don't remember. New Orleans just kind of all melded together because, like you said, they're always in cap hell. They always have, they just. I can't name anybody on their defense myself. I know that Kamara is banged up a bit. They have Shuck and Olave, and that's really it.
Tyson's the rookie.
Oh, Tyson, who is also missing, who I think his quad came off of his body. They had to find it and put it back on because of how damaged that is.
Something
like
that.
A very long-term injury. But I mean, they're just, I think that their defense is what's holding them back. I think that's 6-11 this year, and then next year, if they get healthy, they maybe focus on that defense and improve on that side of the ball. I think that next year they'd be, in that contention for the playoffs. But moving on to Pittsburgh, the AFC North, we've got the Pittsburgh McCarthys. I have them going 9-8 to keep the tradition alive. I actually did go back and, as I finished it the other day, I went back and I made sure that I got Pittsburgh to over 500, just so people could say, "Oh, it's
but
more
Tomlin's
of the same."
gone, dude.
It's the White Tomlin. Last year,
that's
they
disrespectful
under
to Tomlin.
How dare you? I mean, they both have Super Bowl.
I said what I said.
McCarthy's back home. It's the last ride or the last slide is what I said, because either it's going to be Rodgers' going out party and they're going to have a lot of fun. They got Michael Pittman. They've got DK Metcalf. They've got Jalen Warren and Rico Dowdle. And who else do they got there?
Well, we've said Rico Dowdle's both Carolina and a Steeler, so I don't know about that. But Jalen Warren's their running back.
Yeah, didn't they sign Rico Dowdle this offseason, though?
Maybe. I don't know.
Pretty sure they did. I could just be imagining things because it's 25 minutes past my bedtime.
Yeah, he does. Rico Dowdle is on the Steelers. Okay, there you go.
Yep. So, yeah, they've got those two guys. Their defense has always been kind of the thing, but they've got an offensive-minded head coach with Aaron Rodgers at the helm still. So they had 10 wins last year. I have them 9-8. And like you said, with the Vikings being the floor of 7, 9 is my floor for Pittsburgh.
Really?
Rodgers might turn back the clock a little bit here. They might go on a run like no other. We may get a 2010-11 Super Bowl repeat of Pittsburgh versus Green Bay.
My floor for the Pittsburgh Steelers is like 4. I don't have a lot of faith in this team. I ultimately gave them 7 wins because, I don't think they're the gutter teams that some of they're not the Browns. Okay, I'll give them that. I'll give them they're not the Browns. That's not saying much, but they're not the Browns. Big Mike is in town like you talked about. I said maybe another paper tiger cub. A paper tiger cub. So they're certainly not the paper tiger that Dallas was. And if Big Mike couldn't do it in Dallas with the much bigger paper tiger, I don't see any way that Big Mike's going to come into Pittsburgh with his paper tiger cub and really overly succeed, just because Big Mike and Aaron Rodgers were already arguing a bunch at the end of their tenure in Green Bay together. And we saw Aaron Rodgers won that fight last time. Aaron Rodgers, allegedly this is his last year no matter what. I can't imagine Big Mike lasts that long either. They have DK Metcalf, I guess. They have Jalen Warren. They have Michael Pittman, I guess. Another team I couldn't name a single defensive player. Oh, sorry, they have TJ Watt. Okay, I don't need to be that disrespectful. I can name TJ Watt.
Porter Jr. maybe. If he signs.
Who? I don't know who that is. Anyways,
Porter Jr.
Sure. But yeah, so I think this team's going to be not very good. I definitely don't think they're a playoff team. I have them power ranked number 23. Moving on to our second to last team, Josh. We're almost there. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I have them going 7-10. This is another team where I think, similar to Green Bay, they have the pieces to be a much better team. But I think this cracks start to show. I question sometimes how Todd Bowles is still there. That's how I feel about him, I guess.
Well, that's just how he plays or how he coaches.
Yeah. How is Todd Bowles still there? Baker can't save them, I don't think. Mike Evans is gone, which seems to not make that much of a difference because Mike Evans, I don't know if it's the substation or just Evans being old, but seems like he wouldn't have made much of a difference this year. But everyone's excited about Egbuka. Bucky definitely was not the exciting player everyone wanted him to be. Maybe he can step back into that this year. I don't know. Again, I just think this, because they're not a Super Bowl team and because they're barely a playoff team sometimes, I think this is a team that's about to fall apart and get some new ownership, and Baker's probably going to be gone and all the things. I have them power ranked 24, so not very exciting. You would hope more for Baker. When Baker was there with Liam Cohen, they're obviously very exciting. They're a very exciting offense, but I just, if this team isn't good enough to be making the playoffs year after year, something's going to change, and I think this is just going to be another year of dysfunction for them. So, Josh, how do you feel about Tampa?
I feel like they've had some offseason drama with Baker and the
Vita?
holdouts. Vita, yeah. Why? I was like, why can't I think of his name?
Vita
But Vegas has them at 8.5. I have them at 8 and 9. I actually believe I have them winning their division at 8 and 9. And so they're last year they won 8 games as well. They lost Evans, like you said, probably wouldn't make that much of a difference. Bucky comes back, should be healthy, hopefully, which would be amazing for that offense because he was electric when he did get the ball. Same with Buka. He really fell off at the end of the year. I think that he had some injury in the midpoint of the season, and he never came back the same. But I do think that 8 and 9 is kind of where they're sitting, and that they should be, fringe playoff team if they can string some wins together. Moving on next to Tennessee, the last team, AFC South. Funny enough, the last team that we review is also the team that I have finishing last. I have them going 1-16, which is 2 games less than they won last year at 3. They were terrible. For some odd reason, DraftKings has them at 6.5. I don't know if that's 6.5 completions per game for Cam Ward, or if that's 6.5 wins on the season. But last year, watching Cam Ward was terrible. It was like, it was terrible. I don't know. Him and J.J. McCarthy would make for an amazing accuracy competition. You could put targets that are 100 feet wide by 100 foot tall, and you might get 3 out of 10 hits. And so I just don't think that they're any good. They got Bob Saleh, who's probably going to walk out week 7. Their defense isn't that great. Carnell Tate's hurt. So, yeah. What do you think, Gar?
Similar to you, I have them power ranked number 32, which I know is shocking to hear about when I talk about the Browns the way I do, and when I talk about the Jets the way I do, and one other team I can't think of right now, but that's just the bottom barrel of the league. But I have them going 1-16, and that 1 win is just because there's only been 2 ever 0-win teams, so they're bound to get a fluky win or 2. They were the free agent paradise this year. They gave away, obviously it's not all in 1 year. There's plenty of multi-year contracts in there, but they gave away, I think, like $330 million in cap spending. I think it might have been just because they had to, because there's you never hear about the cap floor, but there is a floor, like a team has to spend so much money every year. So I think maybe that's part of what's happening, but this isn't even me trying to be disrespectful to Bob Saleh. Obviously, what happened to him in New York probably would have happened to anybody in New York. So I'm not saying he's necessarily a bad coach, but from an already one-time failed head coach, I have no reason to believe that this retread is going to be overly successful. Cam Ward, as you said, is questionable. They did try and get him another weapon with Carnell Tate. But yeah, otherwise, at least for this year, maybe Bob Saleh, gets the culture right, this or that, can get it going within a couple years. But a team that has to hand out $330 million to free agents, a team that is just like a bunch of strangers. This is not a team. This is a group of individuals playing football together. That's how I'd say it. There's going to be no team identity. There's going to be no team culture, no team cohesion. Just a bunch of strangers wearing the same jerseys. So that's why I have them 1-16. That's why I have them lower than teams like the Jets or the Browns even. Yeah, I am super low on the Titans. Couldn't be lower. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? But that's how I feel. And that's 32 teams. That's 272 games predicted. Josh, do you want to go over your playoff scenario real quick?
Yeah, in the AFC, I have Buffalo, Cincinnati, Houston, Denver, and then the wild card would be New England, Baltimore, and the Chargers. In the NFC, I have the Rams, Chicago, Philadelphia, Tampa Bay, Seattle, San Fran, and Green Bay.
Who's your bowl?
My Super Bowl is New England versus Green Bay for the lulz.
So you're saying for the lull, so that's not how you really feel about it?
No, I mean, I guess gun to my head, I'd probably say, I mean, you got to go with the favorites. I'm going to go with the Rams, and then I wouldn't be surprised if it's the Rams and New England again. Well, no, actually, I'm going to go with Rams Buffalo. I feel like it's going to be the 1 year where the 1 seeds make it.
Oh, okay. Could be. I'll start with the AFC. I have the Chargers as the 1 seed winning the West, the Jacksonville Jaguars winning the South, Buffalo Bills winning the North, winning the East, and the Bengals winning the North. Wild cards being Baltimore, Houston, and Denver. In the NFC, I have Seattle winning the West, Detroit winning the North, Philadelphia winning the East, and Carolina winning the South. Wild cards teams, and again, I agree that the Rams are really good. I just had Seattle winning I think Seattle had one more game than the Rams, so the Rams are technically a playoff team, but that's fine because they'll be playing Carolina week 1. But yeah, the wild cards being the Rams, Chicago, and Washington. It's just, again, that NFC West division is stacked. 3 out of the 4 teams should be studs. So just kind of the luck or unluck of the draw in that scenario. But for my Super Bowl, I went full tinfoil. I think I spoiled this last time, but I have it. The Super Bowl is in LA. Super Bowl 61 is going to be the Chargers versus the Rams. That's what I'm saying. Book it, Dano. And that's
wow.
it.
How swell.
I know, isn't that neat?
Now we don't even need to watch the games. We already know what happens.
Right, we've already predicted everything there is to predict. There was one other thing, Josh, since we have a little bit more time than we had last time, although we still almost filled an hour despite not having 15 minutes of baseball talk. I do want to just run thing by you since I didn't run it by you last time. Since you've always kind of been the number 2 guy in the Hood League, you were the original founder, the original commish, so, I know, and I've jokingly written your name in small print as the co-commish in, past years, but so we're not doing side bets this year, at least in the way we've done them before. And so that frees up $70, and then I could massage things into getting us about $100 to play with. So I've been kind of going through different ideas of what I could do with this money. Obviously, I could just redistribute it to like first and second or whatever. But let's say we still wanted to have some creative ways to do with the money. I found a bunch of different things on Reddit. Of course, there's just weekly high score, and I've seen that a couple ways. You either just give $5 to every weekly high score, which I think is not very exciting, or you could do like every weekly high score is like a raffle ticket, and then either that raffle ticket is, and then you do a drawing at the end of the year, and then that drawing is either for you get free entry next year, so it'd be a $50 drawing, or you can donate that $50 is donated to charity in your name, which I think is pretty neat. Although I'm sure at least Brian would bitch about us paying money to then give away to charity. Or I've seen every weekly high score gets this $5 scratcher, and then so you're just gambling with your money. So there's a couple ideas like that. Otherwise, there's positional weekly high score, and that rotates. So like week 1 would be, just in theory, week 1 would be quarterback, week 2 would be running back, week 3 would be wide receiver. So just the highest scoring player in that position that week, which obviously would be easier to track than some of the side bets got pretty intricate. You'd have to do a lot of math or a lot of labor. Yeah. One of the ideas I really liked was the guy I found it on Reddit called it something else, but I'm calling it the Mini Bowl since we call our championship the Mega Bowl after semi-pro. So this would be one team, and I already said it would be the team that didn't get drawn. So it would be this year. It would be Nikita, or no, it would be me, I guess. But it wouldn't matter because obviously I'll lose games. But one person starts with like the Mini Bowl, and then each week that person's defending the Mini Bowl. And so it's just like one matchup, and then whoever wins it holds on to the bowl until they lose, and the person who then won it off them has the bowl. But just something that transfers from team to team throughout the season, and whoever wins with it the last week of the season, they get a prize. Could be $50 or something. So I thought that idea was really fun. It doesn't promote engagement from every team every week, but it'll just be a fun thing to track throughout the season. There's like the Survivor things, lowest score each week gets eliminated until there's one team left. There's like milestone things where if someone like either sets the league record for scoring, like the newest high score of the season, it's like a progressive thing, or they just have if whoever breaks like 150 points or something. So things like that. I don't know if any of those jump out to you. Again, we could kind of do two of these things separately, one $50 thing or two different $50 things. Or we could do one $50 thing and the other $50 goes back to first place or something. But any of those stand out to you, or do you have any? Not saying you need to pick or choose, but just kind of running them by you, seeing if anything stands out to you as someone who's had a commissioner mindset for a while as well.
Well, I mean, we're doing primaries and whatnot, so why not make it a democracy? And we just kind of you can pick 4 or 5 of your favorites, and we can vote on it at the draft on Saturday.
Could do that.
I mean, yeah, because I do like the idea of changing it up a bit so we don't have to keep track of those intricacies. And a couple of those ideas were pretty cool. I like the mini bowl idea, but I could see where that like loses engagement because it's not a weekly thing. Granted, not many people paid attention to the side bets when it was a weekly thing, but I do like the ease of the positional ones. So like if we were to do like we could do 2 of them, like maybe the mini bowl has like a $5 pot to start, and then like you hold on to it for a second week, you get $10. Hold on to it for a third week, and then when it gets passed off, then it starts at that $5 again, or I don't know. Mess around with it. Maybe not starts at that $5, but it transfers to that next person, and then if the person holds on to it once it gets to $50, it just cashes out right there. So you'd have to win 10 weeks in a row.
Yeah, it's probably well. I mean, and we also play games against the median, so that would further complicate it for sure. But
oh, yep, no, that is very true.
So yeah, you'd have to look at head to head. But yeah, I mean, the mini bowl thing would be weekly, but yeah, to your point, it doesn't pay out weekly for sure. It would just be paying out at the end of the season. But yeah, I could definitely do that. I could throw down, like you said, a couple of the ideas and just have people vote on it. Or maybe I'll send out a text about it, with a couple days before. Not that anyone's gonna care necessarily or read up on it, but at least I'll give them the information pre-draft and then let people decide. But yeah, okay. I appreciate your input. I was just curious what you thought. Because part of the reason people weren't paying attention to the side bets is because I had stopped to communicate them. And then I kind of made like a small plea for help. I was like, maybe either Brian or Josh, could you guys be like the side bet commissioner? And I know you were tracking them for the last couple of years, which I appreciated, but obviously that communication piece I wasn't doing, and then no one else was doing either. So I don't want to say the side bets failed, but if the commissioner's not going out of the way to communicate them, then why is anyone else in the league going to care? So I'll take the brunt of the blame for sure. But yeah, okay, that's all I had. Unless you have anything else, we will be back here next Tuesday post-draft. So next Tuesday will be draft grades, unless you feel like you can't do draft grades within a couple days, in which case we can do just like our season-long studs and duds and some other fantasy takes. But otherwise, next week should be our draft grades because we draft on Saturday.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how motivated I am on Saturday night and Sunday and Monday.
No matter what, we should be back next Tuesday to the point, but it's just a matter of what the content will be.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, I have nothing to add. I will see you Saturday. Love you, and go Packers.
Bye-bye. Love you too. Nerd. Can you zest for me? Por favor.
Zesting. 1, 2, 3, 4.